up, guys? Barrett Freeman here with another episode of the PropertyTales podcast. Thanks for joining us. I am here to introduce you to the newest member of the Freeman Brothers Realty team, Joshua Reynolds, or Josh to those who know him. How you doing?
Doing fine. How are you doing today?
Doing well. Have you ever done any podcasts before?
No, this is my first one.
Do you watch any podcasts?
I watch a few of them.
Do you listen to them or do you watch?
Both.
Okay.
Yeah.
You watch Joe Rogan, but listen to the other ones?
Yeah, I listen to Theo Vaughn.
Oh, yeah. You have to watch Theo. He's funny.
He's funny.
He was just in concert, or not concert, but he had a stand-up show, like I think this summer in Pikeville, and I know a lot of people that went to that.
Yeah.
Anyway, why don't you introduce yourself to the camera? Name, what you do, where you from?
My name is Josh. 37. Born and raised in Corbin. I went to Lynn Camp and married with kids. Beautiful family, awesome family. I got my real estate license in 2021, so it's hard to get used to being in 2025 right now. So this is actually the fourth year.
And what area of real estate are you focused on?
I'm involved with buyers and sellers, so pretty much helping anyone in the state of Kentucky.
So what'd you do before real estate?
I was in customer service for a few years, and I did also did some retail sales as well. So
yeah, so I didn't know much about I've known you for years. We've golfed for
Right.
years, but I've never had like a sit down and chat as far as like shop and what we do. But I was kind of the other day, I was kind of giving you a spiel about like having to deal with like, buyers calling in and trying to give you a little bit of a script and like, hold up, I've actually done customer service before.
We did, and did some collections and stuff.
Oh, that's what it was.
Yeah,
like,
so that it gets interesting. You deal with the public, even though wasn't face to face with them, but sometimes it felt like it.
Phew, is that the worst of the worst, you think?
It's pretty rough.
I'm saying
sometimes.
collection specifically.
Yeah.
I mean, nobody's happy when you're calling.
Yeah, it's rough because they're already in a tough situation.
They're stressed.
Yeah.
I mean, are they looking at you like the bad guy?
Well, even if you work for a company, you're the face of the company. So that any frustration they have is they're going to take it out on you personally.
Fortunately, the only tough conversations we have are when you're having to call, a seller and say, we're backing out of a deal.
Right.
That's not a fun conversation, but it happens. I had that conversation personally 2 days ago. I've done it so much I don't ever let it bother me anymore. But we had a deal on 8 houses in one deal.
Yeah.
And they texted me 2 nights ago and said, hey, the bank said they won't loan us enough money to do the deal.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, yeah. And so Rothio was freaking out a little bit because she was the actual realtor on that deal for me because I don't represent myself. It's a little weird when I represent myself. It's nice to have a buffer.
Yeah.
Like, Josh, tell them this, instead of coming from me, just a little bit easier. So we set up a call the next day, and I was like, so what'd the bank say? Because the banks have said that to me too. Like, we can't do the deal for whatever reason. Not a big deal. But I gave them some other banks that we work with, and they start calling around. And so for right now, we pulled the deal out of the fire. But that's about the only bad conversation we ever have to have.
It's frustrating because a lot of people put a lot of time and effort into it. They get their hopes up, and if something that's not really in their control happens.
Well, the house, in their mind, they've got the money already, even though the house isn't sold.
Right.
They're making plans. It's not a bad idea to start making plans like we got to move, we got to find the next place to live.
Being proactive.
But you know how people are. That's how it is with the car wreck settlements because I do personal injury.
Yeah.
As soon as we got that settlement agreement, like we're saying, you're getting $10,000, that money is spent.
They've already bought another car.
They bought a car. They bought a boat.
Yeah.
And but once we in that area, it's never been like once we got a contract, we're good. The insurance companies pay us and they get their money. But it's almost like the house buying process starts over when you get a contract.
Yeah.
Because there's so much that has to happen to get it to the finish line. So, and we're based out of Corbin.
Right.
So our office is here in Corbin. So, but you're one. So I knew you, I liked you, but the reason that Rothio wanted you to join is because you're really plugged into the community.
Yeah.
Can you talk about a few of the things you do that you're involved with?
Yeah, I do a lot of sports coaching for my youngest son. So I'm involved with that. He plays up at TCSA on top of the field up in Corbin. So I've been involved with that. And then my oldest son, whenever he was younger, I coached for him as well. So I've actually been kind of involved in that for 8 or 10 years.
See, and I don't have any kids, so I don't have a natural way. I'd be weird if I was out there like coaching.
Some of the best coaches that we've dealt with don't have kids.
Oh, okay.
And they tend to not show favoritism.
They're just passionate about sports.
Which you see that a lot in sports, especially youth sports, is favoritism. But
how could you not if you're coaching your own kid?
Yeah,
it's hard.
Well, it's easier to coach other people's kids.
My dad did what you did when I was growing up,
right.
and I was always big into sports. And Dad struggled. So what he did was I always was frustrated because I was always on the B team.
Yeah.
Or like the second squad, or like I was the backup because Dad was really stressed about that. Even though I was very athletic and good, but I was always like the best on the backup team or whatever. And
and coaching your kid, they know what they can get away with you.
Sure.
And they know what buttons to push sometimes too.
I don't know that world. How much are you talking to these parents? Just about like day-to-day stuff.
I think it's important to build a relationship with them, and because they trust you with their kid, and you can be hard on their kid a little bit, but you got to treat every kid different, and you can kind of figure that out by speaking with the parents.
Oh, I see.
So it's some parents don't like their kids coached hard. Some prefer it. If you got a good relationship with the parents, which I feel like I usually do, it just makes for better.
Well, how do you approach is it like a preseason meeting? What's that look like?
Yeah, you usually hold a meeting, and then we'll have like a group text and stuff. But just as long as you keep them informed with everything, what you're doing, it tends to work out pretty good for you.
What age of kids have you coached?
Well, kindergarten through second, and then some third and fourth.
Vastly different.
Oh yeah.
Does it start getting more serious, third and fourth?
Yeah. That's when they go from they do flag football up there from kindergarten through second. So third and fourth is when they actually start tackling, and
with pads and everything.
Yeah. So it gets interesting.
I guess you're dealing with the whole spectrum of kids as well, from sensitive to tough.
Yeah. That's and you got to figure them out, the kids, because there's certain kids you can't be as hard on.
It's funny, you kind of backed into like learning how to be a teacher almost.
Yeah. I would say, yeah.
That's interesting. So, and then as far as communicating with the parents, I mean, besides the sports, are they asking you about you, and are you asking about them? Is that part of it?
Well, not necessarily. You'll have conversations with them outside of the sports. And you'll see a lot of them, because a lot of these kids have older brothers and sisters at sporting events. So you'll see a lot of them. And it's important to build a relationship with them.
Well, that's exactly why Theo thought you'd be good, because we don't have. I'm born and raised in Corbin.
Yeah.
I've been here forever, but I don't feel like I know that many people just out on the street. So it's definitely a gap we're trying to plug with our organization. So I think you'll be great for that. So, all right. Well, Josh is going to be helping buyers and sellers buy houses in Kentucky with Freeman Brothers Realty. Thanks for being on the podcast. I'm excited to start advertising you out there.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
All right. This has been another episode of the PropertyTales podcast. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.